Hare Krishna. The existence of evil does not point away from God, it points towards God. Atheists often advance the argument from evil to disprove the existence of God. They say that if God exists and He is good, then why is there evil in this world? If there is evil, that means there is no God. So, at one level this argument can seem very persuasive, but if we go at a deeper level, the very concept of evil does not have any valid place in a godless worldview. If we consider the atheistic material worldview, which is basically naturalistic, materialistic, that holds that the whole world has emerged from singularity through through some disordered, unguided processes, and there is no reason why there should be any moral element associated with the results of these processes. Just as if a fruit falls down, the fruits falling down is not anything that is inherently good or bad. The fruit simply falls down by the law of gravity. So, science simply describes reality. It is descriptive. It is not prescriptive. I mean, it simply describes how things are, and there is nothing within the naturalistic worldview which will even point to how things should be. That means that when we say this is good and this is bad, now from the perspective of nature, from the naturalistic perspective, the only good is survival, and all living beings act for the survival of the fit, and the fittest survive. But when we talk about moral principles, say being a trustworthy friend is good, or molestation of children is bad. Now, where is this idea of good or bad? Where does it have any place in objective reality within an atheistic framework? It does not have, because atheism does not talk about anything good or bad. It simply talks about the way things are. So, the very fact that we universally recoil at certain conceptions, at certain things. Now, we may not all agree on this is good and this is bad, but we all have a conception that there are some things which are bad and some things that are good. So, where does that come from? The very idea that we consider something to be evil and something to be good, that indicates that there is some objective basis for what is good and what is evil. And where does that objective basis come from? That cannot come from the world of matter, that cannot come from the world of nature, that has to come from some transcendental order giver who is beyond the scope of nature, and that order giver is the Absolute. The Bhagavad Gita states in 16.8, asatyam apratishtamte jagadahuranishwaram aparaspara sambhutam kimanyat kama haitukam, describing the mentality of the godless. 16.8, the Bhagavad Gita states that they think that there is no absolute truth, that there is no God in control, and ultimately the result is that self-centered desire for enjoyment is the only purpose of life. So, therefore, we need to recognize that the existence of evil, it is based on the presumption that there is something good and something evil. And what is the foundation for this presumption? That foundation does not come from a materialistic worldview. That has to come from a transcendental worldview where an absolute truth describes, has ingrained within nature the very existence of of description of how, not description but prescription, how things need to be. And of course, if we consider the philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita, then we further understand that the specific presence of evil is because we have disrupted the order of things by our disorderly conduct. By not living in harmony with the Absolute, we have disrupted our conduct and therefore we have got ourselves into trouble. But if we learn to live harmoniously, then we will find that the evil will substantially be subsided and we will find ourselves relishing the harmony that is inherent to an existence that is lived in the consciousness of God. Thank you. Hare Krishna.